Hey there, Detroit sports fanatics. I'm Taylor Phillips, and welcome to Taylor's Detroit Sports on Spreaker. You can also find this and all other episodes of Taylor's Detroit Sports on iHeartRadio. Straight and full Detroit and Michigan sports coverage 100% of the time. If you have any opinions on everything that's going on in the Detroit sports world, call in or send a text message live on the show at 231-429-3668. Also, you can add me on Facebook as Taylor Phillips, online at facebook.com/TaylorGatorPhillips14. Like my Facebook page, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports page. Join my Facebook group, Taylor Phillips' Detroit Sports Group. And follow me on Twitter at DT2Phillips with 2 L's.
And welcome to episode 133 on Spreaker. Man, this is an exclusive episode here. I did not expect to do that. Lots of news coming up. Lots of Detroit sports news coming up in a single day. First off, I want to recap the Duel in the D at Joe Louis Arena between the Michigan State Spartans and the Michigan Wolverines. Yeah, we're talking college hockey here. And I'm just going to recap what went down. William Hague scored the first goal of the game to put the Spartans up 1-0 on a 2-on-1 break. At just 3:09 into the game, and then later in the period, Dylan Larkin, the Red Wings, at the 15th overall draft pick, NHL draft pick, by the Detroit Red Wings, tied it up on the power play for the Wolverines at 16:08. It would stay that way until the third period, when Matt DeBlau just a minute and 58 in. Tipped in a shot. The referees reviewed it anyway when it didn't have to be reviewed in the first place. And they still count. And they still let it stand. Spartans led 2-1, and that's how it ended. Except in a physical grand finale. Involving some of the Spartans players and some of the Wolverines players. While the rest of the Spartans celebrated their victory. Once Dylan Larkin graduates from U of M, though, we can only hope that he makes it all the way to the NHL, just like Anthony Mantha tried to do, but got injured. That's just the beauty of this rivalry, the physicality at the end and the tightness of the game in terms of the score. Those are examples of why Joe Louis Arena was had a sellout crowd that night, earlier tonight. Other college hockey scores here. Michigan Tech took care of Alabama Huntsville 5-0. Scores here. The Ferris State Bulldogs got pounded by the number 1 ranked Minnesota State Mavericks 5-1. The Northern Michigan Wildcats held off Alaska Anchorage 5-3. They scored an insurance. Sammy Salmonen picked up an insurance goal late in the third period to seal victory for the Wildcats. You can download, for all college hockey scores, you can download the College Hockey News app, CHN, on your smartphone. Also look up College Hockey News online and look them up. Michigan and Michigan State both have Saturday off. Ferris State and Minnesota State will go at it again at 8:07. Michigan Tech and Alabama Huntsville, the Chargers and the Huskies go at it again at 7 at Houghton, Michigan, where I was born. Alaska Anchorage and Northern Michigan begin the second of their doubleheader at 7:07. Moving on to minor league hockey here. Grand Rapids Griffins shut out the Milwaukee Admirals 3-0 in Milwaukee. Mitch Callahan, Landon Ferraro, and Mark Zengerle all got the goals for the Griffins. Callahan and Ferraro tallying in the first, Zengerle in the second. Jared Careau made 28 saves. The Griffins have outscored their opponents 9-0 in their last two games. Also in the last two games, Careau has made 66 saves in his last two games. Griffins and Admirals go out again at Van Andel Arena at 7 o'clock. Timu Polkinen also got an assist. Speaking of hockey, we go to the NHL. Well, after suffering a 5-1 beatdown in Tampa Bay, the Red Wings made 4 roster moves. First and foremost, they have waived Brian Lashoff. They put Lashoff on waivers, so he's likely gone. Not officially yet, but I have to hope somebody that some other NHL team can pick him up. Lashoff isn't that good. That's why the Wings kept giving him healthy scratches. They also reassigned Xavier Ouellet to the Grand Rapids Griffins, and they called up defenseman Alexei Marchenko from the Griffins. Lashoff, Ouellet, and Marchenko are all defensemen. Plus, they sent Jonas Gustafsson down to the Grand Rapids Griffins to start his conditioning stint, his rehab conditioning stint. He had been injured since he had been put on the injured reserve since November 5th. Gustafsson was just taken off the IR to begin his stint. I'm just going to look for another article that. Oh, there we go. Ansar Khan from MLive.com reported that the Red Wings tried trading Lashoff for a draft pick, but didn't find any takers. Also, Holland said the decision to send Ouellet is not a reflection of his performance. The club just wants to see what Marchenko can do. Last season, Alexei Marchenko suffered a season-ending ankle surgery, which required surgery while playing for the Griffins last February. This season with GR, he has 2 goals, 15 assists, and 22 penalty minutes, and a plus 15 rating. Holland said, quote unquote, "I think Marchenko has played well in the AHL. We need to give him an opportunity. We had the opportunity to look at Timu Polkinen and Olet. We might take a look at one or two more kids so we know what we got." Unquote. Back to Lashoff, Khan reported that Lashoff will likely clear waivers. He hasn't played since December 29th and probably wasn't going to get in the lineup unless the team suffered multiple injuries. I want to read an article about Peter Mrazek's moxie, which was reported from DetroitRedWings.com by Bill Roos, the managing editor. Moxie is a noun that defines someone's courage, determination, skill, and know-how. It's also an idiom to Coach Mike Babcock an idiom that Coach Mike Babcock has used recently in characterizing Red Wings goalie Peter Mrazek, who was an unyielding position as a 22-year-old rookie. For the second time in less than 2 weeks, Mrazek wasn't around at the conclusion of Thursday's game in Tampa Bay. He was also pulled against Buffalo January 18th. In two of those games, he allowed a combined 8 goals on 22 shots and was relieved by fourth-string goalie Thomas McCollum. Highly regarded in the Red Wings organization, Mrazek has started 7 straight games since Jimmy Howard went down with a slightly torn groin muscle at Washington on January 10th, in a 3-2 loss to the Capitals. Prior to Thursday's 5-1 loss to the Lightning, Mrazek had won 6 straight, mainly because the team provided enough offense to compensate for the 24 goals surrendered. That's a 3.44 goals against average since replacing Howard in the lineup. Which, in my opinion, is not all Mrazek's fault. The defense is snoozing. It's still not good enough. Babcock said, quote, "That's what life is. It's about responding. Some guys are better than others. Anytime you've got a young goalie," and I talked about how Ben Bishop's on his 3rd team, how he spent 5 years in the minors. It's an impossible position. It's hard. You've got to be rock solid between your ears. So a little adversity. What does he do tomorrow? Let's watch." Unquote. Mrazek will make his 14th start of the season for the Red Wings when they host the Metropolitan Division leading New York Islanders in a rare Saturday matinee at Joe Louis Arena. Mrazek said, quote, "Sometimes the puck goes in and you don't know why, so you just have to battle. You have to be mentally strong and enjoy it. That's what I do when I sit after yesterday. After the second period, just flush it out, and I didn't think about it anymore." Unquote. That's the fortitude Babcock likes in the young goaltender. The Wings are one of the 3 NHL teams that have used 4 goalies this season: Howard, Mrazek, McCollum, and Jonas Gustafsson. Minnesota and the Minnesota Wild and the Anaheim Ducks are the other two. The Wings and Ducks are the only teams that have 4 different goalies win a game for them this season. The last time 4 different goalies produced wins in the same season for the Red Wings was 03-04, the 2003-2004 season, when they had Curtis Joseph, Manny Legacy, Dominik Hasek, and Mark Lamoth. Last time they played 4 different goalies in the same season was 2010-2011, Howard, McCollum, Chris Osgood, and Joey McDonald. Roster moves, I already mentioned that. By the way, Alexei Marchenko will turn 23 on Super Bowl Sunday. Yep, that's this Sunday. Let's go to Islander Invasion preview of the Red Wings Islanders game. The Red Wings and Islanders are tied with the Montreal Canadiens for second in the East, 1 point behind the conference leading Tampa Bay Lightning, who have 66 points. Saturday's matinee will be the second straight game against the top conference opponent for the Red Wings, who lost to the Lightning 5-1 on Thursday. The Islanders are enjoying an incredible season, understandably. They've also won 5 straight against the Wings, including a 2-1 win at Joe Louis Arena on December 19th. New York is 8-1-1 against the Red Wings since 2005-2006 and haven't lost in Detroit since the 2002-2003 campaign. That's 2003-2004. The Red Wings shelled the Islanders on Black Friday 6-0 in 2003, the day after Thanksgiving Day. That part right there is inaccurate. Let me correct you, Bill. It was 2003-2004. The Red Wings have won 5 straight on home ice going back to December 23rd. That's about it. Here's another preview, season series from NHL.com. After beating the New York is coming off a rare loss at Nassau Coliseum, where the Islanders are now 17-5-0, following a 5-2 defeat against the Boston Bruins on Thursday. It was the Islanders' first loss on home ice since December 23rd. Center Jonathan Tavares scored in the second period his 23rd goal and extended his goal-scoring streak to 4 straight games. Tavares points in 5 straight games, 4 goals and 5 assists. That's 9. Senator Casey Cizica's missed practice Friday, and forward Colin McDonald was recalled on an emergency basis from Bridgeport, the Bridgeport Sound Tigers of the American Hockey League. Coach John Capuano says Cizica's needed a maintenance day and will make the trip to Detroit. Defenseman Lubomir Visnovsky is day-to-day with an upper body injury. He practiced and could play. Capuano said his lineup will be determined Saturday, including his starting goalie. If you have any opinions on the Duel and the D college hockey game between the Wolverines and Spartans, the Griffins being on a roll, the Griffins on a tear, and the Red Wings as well, just call in live or text message on the show. Text message live on the show at 231-429-3668. Again, call in or text message at 231-429-3668. The Red Wings Islanders game starts at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time at Joe Louis Arena on Fox Sports Detroit. Speaking of Fox Sports Detroit, it will later that day at 7:30 p.m. televise the Pistons and Rockets. The Pistons will welcome in former teammate Josh Smith and the Houston Rockets to the Palace of Auburn Hills at 7:30 on Fox Sports Detroit. Let me take a look here. Pistons are still winless without Brandon Jennings since Brandon Jennings got injured. Let me see here. I haven't searched the Pistons mlive.com mobile app in a long time. But here's an article written that previews that game, written by David Mayo of mlive.com. Josh Smith won't be the first high-profile former Detroit Piston to return to play against his team. Greg Monroe has seen it before, from Richard Hamilton to Tayshaun Prince to Rodney Stuckey and Charlie Villanueva. There's obviously a difference this time. Monroe said on Friday, quote, "That's still not the same as what happened with Josh," unquote. No, it isn't. Smith returned Saturday night with the Houston Rockets 40 days after the Pistons' stunning move to release him December 22nd with 2.5 years and about $36 million $36 million of guaranteed money left on his contract. The Pistons were 5-23 with Smith, and are 12-7 without him, despite the current 4-game losing streak, which coincides with point guard Brandon Jennings' season-ending torn left Achilles tendon. Anthony Tolliver, an NBA journeyman who once played with Smith in Atlanta and could draw the defensive assignment when the two bench players are matched up, said there's always a little bit of extra motivation against a former team. Tolliver said, quote, especially when you get cut, that's extra. Getting traded is one thing, but getting cut is another, unquote. Stan Van Gundy, the head coach and president of basketball, Stan Van Gundy, the head coach and president of basketball operations, who coaxed owner Tom Gores to eat Smith's contract, declined to speculate what kind of reception Smith will receive from the Palace of Auburn Hills crowd. Van Gundy said, quote, I have no idea, unquote. If there is backlash, Smith will recognize it, Monroe said. Monroe said, quote, you hear it? Yeah, you hear it. Players hear it, trust me, players hear it. But as far as you asking me how the fans are going to react, I don't know. But that's beside the point for us right now, unquote. Smith was in the second season of a four-year, $54 million contract when the Pistons released him. They made the move because of the stretch provision, an element in the collective bargaining agreement that allowed them to stretch the 2 remaining years of Smith's contract over 5 years and defers some of the salary cap damage. The Pistons must pay all of Smith's contract money this season, minus about $500,000 defrayed by his 1-year deal with Houston, then 5 years at $5.4 million annually. Smith never worked out with the Pistons, who were 34-76 with him, as the Big Three experiment of Andre Drummond, Greg Monroe, and Smith failed miserably. Part of the problem was a structural design that stroked Smith's affinity for three-pointers despite a 27.9 career percentage. Shooting percentage, that is. Tolliver said, if he wants to take 10 three-pointers, we're not going to say no. At the same time, I've seen him make 5 or 6, so it's not like he's incapable of making them, unquote. Smith was in fact 4 of 5, equaling his career high for three-pointers made in Houston's victory Wednesday over the Dallas Mavericks. And at its best, he's a tremendous rebounder and defender and a deft playmaker and ball handler. At power forward, not small forward, Tolliver said, quote, he really loves to pass the ball, really loves to distribute the ball. So as a shooter, it was great. Playing with him, sometimes he would find me at times I wouldn't even expect it, and he would put it right in my shooting pocket, so that was great, unquote. Then there was the other side of Jay Smooth. Tolliver said, quote, he was a very smart player, even though sometimes he doesn't make smart decisions as a lot of players do. But he's a very smart guy, and he can talk basketball all day, unquote. Van Gundy asked this week if defenders will sag off Smith at the three-point line. Van Gundy asked this week if his defenders will sag off Smith at Van Gundy asked this week Van Gundy asked this week if his defenders will sag off Smith at Van Gundy asked this week if his defenders will sag off Smith at the Van Gundy asked this week if his defenders will sag off Smith at the three-point line, declined to answer. He was the one that made the decision to cut Smith and clearly wasn't inclined Thursday to fuel him. Van Gundy said, quote, "I don't know Josh's mindset. I'm sure he'll want to come back and play well. I think almost everyone does when they come back and play against their old teams. I think everyone wants to play well, so I'm sure he'll want to play well," unquote. Van Gundy ultimately made two decisions involving Smith. He broke up the big three line, but by sending Monroe to the bench, not Smith. Then he rectified that situation in the most dramatic fashion by waiving Smith. That's why Smith's return is so different than other ex-Pistons before him. Greg Monroe said, quote, Tayshaun Prince got traded, so that was different, but I still feel that even his was pretty much mutual. Rip just ran its course. Stuckey, it was pretty much mutual, so obviously the circumstances with him are different. So just knowing him, I'm pretty sure any player would have some kind of extra incentive to come here and play well and help his team win. Unquote. Tolliver agreed. Quote, obviously he's going to want to win, but he's going to want to be a big part of that win, unquote. He said. So, Josh Smith and the Rockets take on his former teammates, the Detroit Pistons, at 7:30 at the Palace of Auburn Hills on Fox Sports Detroit. And you can stream it online at Detroit Sports 105.1. It's on DetroitSports105.1.com, WMGC FM in Ferndale, HD1, and all of the Detroit Pistons radio network affiliates. Lots of Tigers updates in baseball here. First off, Michigan Wolverines football tight end Jake Butt has a successful minor knee surgery. Now to the Tigers updates. Brad Ausmus is considering Avila for the Tigers' 2 spot in the lineup. I don't agree with any of this. Jason Beck is writing about how serious of a consideration Avila becomes and how productive Avila can be there might depend as much as on the batter behind him, Miguel Cabrera. This is ridiculous. Why would Brad Ausmus make that decision? He's lost his mind. Avila should bat in the number 9 spot, not in the number 2 spot. Avila's not that good of a hitter. Not even against right-handed pitching. He's terrible. He only drew a walk 13.3% of the time he stepped to the plate, which was still ninth best among major leaguers with 450 plate appearances, according to Fangraphs.com. He swung at just 21.6% of the pitches outstrike. Avila swung at just 21.6% of the pitches outside the strike zone, the third lowest of that group. Brian Osmus said about this, quote, "The prototypical two-hole hitter has more speed than Alex has. The upside is Alex gets on base with walks, but when he swings the bat, he's not so fortunate." Also, Patrick O'Kennedy of Bless You Boys from SBNation.com writes an article saying that headlines, "Should the Tigers bring back Java Chamberlain?" I say no. Chamberlain finished with a 2.63 ERA, 2.40 fielding independent pitching, FIP, and 1.14 walks plus hits per innings pitched, WHIP, and 40 strikeouts in 37 and 2/3 innings. He was the most used and most valuable pitcher in the Detroit bullpen, except in the second half. His ERA was 4.97. Strikeouts dropped from his strikeouts dropped from 956 to 675 per 9 innings. They also considered Victor Martinez catching early in the season, which is not a bad idea. And ex-Tiger Ramon Santiago signs with the Blue Jays. Best of luck to him. Let's see here. Let me get this in real quick. 39, over 30 seconds. Brian Osmus said, quote, from the Detroit Free Press by Anthony Fenich, "If Miggy's available, then Victor would be an option at catcher. But if he's not, quote unquote, but if he's not, then Martinez would be the first baseman. So early on, it's going to depend on where he is," quote unquote, from Brad Osmus. TTFN, ta-ta for now.